Hello and welcome to the MSD of Wayne Township Office of Special Services. We are here again with you for short share number 7. I am Penny Gregory. I'm the Assistant Director of Special Services for our secondary schools and experiences.
My name is Todd Hawks, and I'm Assistant Director of Elementary Special Services and Experiences.
And hello, I'm Dr. Sarah Reinhardt, Director of Special Services. Welcome.
Today we are going to be talking about social emotional learning and equity. So why social emotional learning and equity? First of all, we have to be aware that schools across the United States and communities are becoming more diverse. You can think about diversity in lots of different ways, linguistically, racially, socially, as far as economics. You could think about it in ability, in all kind of different ways. Before we have talked to you about intersectionality. So when you think about all the ways people present as other, schools are a microcosm of our society, and so schools are becoming more diverse, just like our society is. We also want to be careful to think about equity and social emotional learning, because you can have same students in the same classroom and they can experience different levels of feeling safe and supported in the same space. And so if you're not thinking about how do you equitably practice social and emotional learning, you may support some students and maybe not others. Also, this is a great time to be thinking about social and emotional learning frameworks, because most of them do not really explicitly connect students' cultural assets and their social and emotional development. And they are not siloed events, they are one and the same. If educators and leaders implement SEL without regard to students' otherness, their culture, their race, their linguistic or economic backgrounds, then it may cause more harm than good. Students may feel more alienated and more separated from their peers in classrooms.
So in order to do that, a strengths-based approach assumes that competencies equip students with the positive relationships and effective coping mechanisms that support healthy development and success. They also protect against problems emerging from stress and adversity and can help students thrive in their future pursuits. For practitioners looking to identify students in need of additional support based on social, emotional, behavioral wellness, we recommend using tools developed specifically for that purpose. And to ensure that practitioners and researchers measure SEL appropriately and ethically, assessment tools must be designed in a culturally responsive, strengths-based way. As the field of practical SEL measurements advances, leaders should reflect on the 3 ideas that you see here on the slides. So the first one is capturing assets. What does that mean? Framing our behaviors and skills in a deficit manner can do more harm than good. We've talked to you about spirit murdering. This is a great way to do that. We want to make sure that we have to not look at what people, adults and students, cannot do, but how are we assessing and looking what they are able to do? We must consider how notions of SEL competencies can be expanded to include multiple orientations, skills, and abilities of students and staff from diverse backgrounds. And we ask ourselves, how can students and staff demonstrate social and emotional growth through multiple means, not just one standardized assessment? The second one is considering those contextual factors. So what does that mean? Environment, race, language, and culture greatly influence the way students respond, make decisions, and perceive themselves and others. So we have to consider the features of the learning environment to make students, especially those farthest from opportunities, feel safe and supported. We ask 2 questions around this. Do students feel safe making SEL mistakes and learning from them? And then similarly, do adults feel safe making SEL mistakes and learning from them? So that leads us into the final thought. Focus on adult SEL. So educators shape how students experience school every day. We have great power in how our students are experiencing our environment. Therefore, our educator SEL competencies impact how students experience school and how they develop. So how are we addressing our own bias? Once we have that, how can we use SEL to more effectively interact with, and facilitate the growth of students from diverse backgrounds. So all of that to be said, if an assessment consists of items or tasks that are heavily influenced by values of a dominant culture, but may not be shared by other cultures, the results of the assessment may fail to capture the strengths and perspectives of students from all cultures.
Thank you, Dr. Reinhardt. In addition to the questions that Dr. Reinhardt shared with us, we also have the work of a couple of different people that we've been utilizing in Wayne Township to help frame our discussions and ensure that we're looking at SEL with an equity lens and an equity mindset. So Dr. Renee Aziz, who is the founder of Virtuoso Education Consulting and supports educators statewide, nationally with equity-focused best practices, challenges us to think about people's mindsets, skill sets, and tool sets. So as we prepare people for learning experiences, where are they on their journey? We have to start with mindset, right? That's how we see the world and how we think about it, which is where a lot of people are in their journey, and that's okay. Only once we've really thought about our mindset and shifted that can we begin to look at our skill set. So what are our abilities based on our knowledge and experience, and build our skill set? Once we have our mindset right, we've got our skill set going, then we can add additional tools into our tool set. And that's the methods, how we get things done. And so when we're thinking about people, we've got to work on mindset, then we can help build skill set, and then we can give additional tools. But it's hard to do that out of order if our mindset isn't right. Also, Paul Gorski, who is Associate Professor of Integrative Studies at George Mason University and the founder of the Equity Literacy Institute and EdChange, challenges us to think about 4 questions. So, for instance, when we look at SEL practices and curriculum, we have to ask ourselves, who is benefiting from this? Who is being marginalized? How do we maximize benefit and eliminate marginalization? And then, is this curriculum or is this SEL practice an actual threat to racism? If it's not, we've either got to scrap it, or even better, look at how we can adjust our tools and our curriculum, the things we're using, to make sure we are benefiting, we are not marginalizing, and that we are actually threatening racism and other types of oppression.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you spending this time with us. We hope you have learned something about the intersection between SEL, social emotional learning, and equity, and we will see you next time.